I think this is a great first step toward getting the Democrats back to sanity. And a second good step would be, we got to do something about The View. I really believe that. I mean, could you just
it's huge in Iran, though.
Bill, you know, when I
mention The View in Iran, all with the same head cover, you can't even tell which one is which.
Bill Maher just fired off another scorcher at Whoopi Goldberg, this time torching what might be her most outrageous comment yet. In a blisteringly funny takedown, Maher didn't hold back, joking that The View should either be canceled altogether or forever banished from the realm of serious conversation. So what jaw-dropping thing did Whoopi say to earn Maher's savage roast? And what exactly did he say that's now turning her into a walking meme? I've got every clip ready for you. So smash that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and let's jump straight into the madness. Whoopi, of course, is no stranger to controversy. She's dropped some of the wildest sound bites ever aired on daytime TV. From bizarre takes on the Holocaust to equating Trump with the Taliban, she's racked up quite the list. But her latest remark might just be her most mind-blowing yet, and Maher wasn't having it. He tore into her with zero filter, calling out The View like never before. You gotta see this.
You think of Whoopi Goldberg saying it's worse to be a black person in America today than a woman in Iran. You know, I see we were talking about the trans issue before, and the New York Times really has come over on that to the sort of the sensible, liberal, not crazy woke position. I think this is a great first step toward getting the Democrats back to sanity. And a second good step would be, we got to do something about The View.
Bill Maher has officially reached his breaking point with The View, and especially with Whoopi Goldberg. And honestly, can anyone really blame him? Whoopi's takes have gotten so wildly unhinged that even folks on her own side are scrambling to distance themselves. At this rate, it's like she's auditioning for satire. The stuff coming out of her mouth isn't just controversial, it's downright baffling. Maher didn't mince words. He torched Whoopi for what he sees as a full-blown plunge into woke absurdity and slammed The View as a toxic echo chamber poisoning public discourse. In his words, asterisk, the show isn't just obnoxious, it's dangerous, steering people away from the very principles that once defined American strength. Critical thinking, open debate, and a grip on reality. Asterisk. The latest firestorm erupted during a heated exchange between Alyssa Farah Griffin and Whoopi over the brutal oppression of women and minorities in Iran. Alyssa laid out the facts: mandatory hijabs, imprisonment for dissent, public executions, and LGBTQ plus people being thrown off rooftops. That's when Whoopi chimed in with a take so jaw-droppingly out of touch it immediately lit up the internet. Brace yourself. This one's next level. Watch this.
Iranians literally throw gay people off of buildings. They don't adhere to basic human rights.
Listen, here's the thing. Let's not do that, because if we start with that, we have been known in this country to tie gay folks to the car.
Where the Iranian regime is today in 2025 is nothing compared to the United States.
Keep hanging black people. So
it is not even the same. I couldn't step foot during this.
Wait. That's not what you mean to say.
According to Whoopi, government-led violence against women and LGBTQ plus people in Iran is somehow on par with isolated individual crimes in the U.S. Let that sink in. She's actually comparing a ruthless theocracy, where dissent is punished by death, to a democratic nation that enshrines individual rights and freedoms. And that right there is the issue with the woke narrative. The relentless urge to drag America down by glossing over the real horrors unfolding in other parts of the world. Rather than condemning genuine oppression, they twist reality to fit a political script, vilifying the very country that gives them the freedom to speak their minds. It's not just dishonest, it's reckless. It erodes public trust and distorts the truth. When figures like Whoopi downplay brutal regimes just to land a partisan jab, they don't sound bold or progressive, they sound completely out of touch. And that's exactly why so many are tuning her out. But hold on, it gets even more outrageous.
And that's why I am saying that it is the same. Honoring someone for their difference is not good, whoever does it. It's not good. So that's why I said you weren't saying what I heard was not what you meant.
I think it's very different to live in the United States in 2025 than it is to live in Iran.
Not if you're black.
Not for everybody.
Not if you're black.
Whoopi Goldberg actually wants us to believe that black Americans today have it worse than the 90 million people trapped under Iran's brutal theocratic regime. Yes, she said that with a straight face. According to her twisted logic, a country that elected a black president, seats minorities at the highest levels of power, and protects individual freedoms is somehow more oppressive than a regime where women are beaten for showing their hair and homosexuality is punishable by death. It's not just wrong, it's delusional. In Whoopi's alternate reality, 2025 America, a nation grounded in free speech, legal rights, and boundless opportunity, is morally equivalent to 2025 Iran, where dissent is crushed, women are second-class citizens, and human rights barely exist. This isn't just a bad take. It's a slap in the face to the real victims of state-imposed tyranny. And finally, people are starting to call her out for it. Just listen to what Rita Panahi had to say.
So crime happening in America, a black person, another black person, for example, for which the perpetrator will be punished, is the same in Whoopi's warped mind as the state you because you're a minority, because you're gay or an infidel, for example. Let me be clear. The Iranian regime will hang you from a crane in the public square for crimes like blasphemy, witchcraft, homosexuality, and of course, if you dare show any dissent, if you challenge the brutal regime. Whoopi thinks that's pretty much how black folks are treated in America. You absolute disgrace of a human being, Whoopi.
And this is exactly where nonstop virtue signaling leads, to empty words that don't just sound informative but scream ignorance. In Whoopi's mind, she likely believed she was delivering a bold, heartfelt message in defense of the black community. She genuinely thought she was standing up for something meaningful. But by drawing a bizarre, tone-deaf comparison between black Americans and the unimaginable oppression Iranian women face, she did the exact opposite. Let's get real. Comparing systemic racism in a democratic society, where people have rights, legal recourse, and the power to change the system, to a theocratic regime where women are jailed, beaten, or even killed for showing their hair isn't just tone-deaf, it's insulting. It flattens two vastly different struggles into one sloppy political talking point. And in doing so, it trivializes the suffering of Iranian women and undermines the resilience and progress of black Americans. That's not advocacy, that's lazy activism masquerading as moral clarity. And now, voices are rising to call it out. Just listen to this powerful statement from Representative Wesley Hunt.
As I said, I'm a direct descendant of a slave. My great-great-grandfather was born on a Rosedown plantation. I am literally being judged not by the color of my skin, but by the content of my character. That's the progress because, like, a lot of white people had to vote for me. A lot.
So
I don't even ever want to hear Whoopi Goldberg's conversation about how it's worse to be black in America right now. That's a bit far. And my father, who's 75 years old, he was a man that was in the French quarters that had to go get a sandwich to the back door of the building. And his son is now a United States congressman in a white majority district in Texas as a Republican. That is America.
These are the very facts and firsthand stories that people like Whoopi Goldberg conveniently sidestep. Take, for example, the son of a black man who rose to represent a predominantly white district in Texas. That's not just symbolic progress. It's living proof that opportunity is alive and well in America for those determined to seize it. No one pretending America is flawless. It's not. But the strides this nation has made socially, politically, and culturally are monumental compared to the grim realities in places like Iran. While Iran silences dissent and strips women of basic rights, America continues to amplify voices from every race, gender, and background. Here, people can speak out, protest, vote, run for office, and shape their own futures. To compare that to a regime where women are legally oppressed and political opposition is met with violence isn't just absurd, it's morally bankrupt. Recognizing progress isn't denial, it's truth. And erasing that truth to push a worn-out narrative doesn't uplift anyone. It only cheapens the very real battles that have been fought and won.
Let's celebrate that.
Yes. And one of the ways we celebrate it is Juneteenth. That's a Texas holiday. It began in Texas in Galveston. General Granger came and read the Order Number 3 that finally abolished slavery months after the war because the war took a time to get to Galveston. We celebrated that when I was a kid in Texas, but it becomes national a year or two ago, and Donald Trump doesn't want to celebrate that. To me, it's exactly what you're talking about. So is it 600,000 people so that we wouldn't enslave people anymore. And the fact that freedom won is a good thing, and we should honor that. That's what Juneteenth's about. And I don't know why President Trump doesn't want to honor that.
So I don't want it. I don't want Black History Month. I don't want all these days for it to make everybody feel special. I'm an 80s baby. Everybody's too sensitive anyway. We're all Americans anyway. This holiday
That's what Morgan Freeman said.
He said, I can't agree more with him.
Yeah, he said that to Mike Wallace. He said, I'm an American.
What is it with Democrats, identity politics, and their relentless need to drag Donald Trump into every conversation? Even moments that should bring people together, like the powerful, unifying remarks from Congressman Wesley Hunt. Instead of embracing the message, a Democrat derailed it with yet another round of Trump derangement and race-fueled virtue signaling. It's like they can't acknowledge real progress unless it's cloaked in division. But here's the truth. One of the most effective ways to overcome racism in America is to stop obsessing over race and start viewing each other as fellow Americans. That means recognizing achievements based on merit, integrity, and character, not skin color. When we constantly divide conversations, celebrations, and policies by race, we risk entrenching the very separations we claim to be dismantling. True unity doesn't come from quotas or labels. It comes from shared values, equal opportunity, and the freedom for every person to rise without being boxed in by identity politics.
Minimize their struggle and compare it to your fever dreams about oppression in America in 2025. It's been sickening to witness the backflips from so many leftist feminists who just 3 years ago said they stood with the women of Iran as they fought against the country's oppressive hijab laws. The Women Life Freedom Uprising has long been forgotten, it seems, by the left, who would rather rail against Trump.
Rita nails it. Her point cuts straight through the hypocrisy. Just a few years ago, brave feminist voices like Masih Alinejad were risking everything to expose the brutal oppression of women in Iran. She wasn't part of the Western feminist elite, but for a moment, her courage captured the world's attention. Even a handful of celebrities and activists joined the call for justice. But look around today. Where are those voices now? Silent, absent, gone. The same people who once claimed to champion Iranian women's rights have shifted their outrage to easier, trendier political targets like Trump. Meanwhile, the women still being jailed, beaten, or murdered for refusing to wear hijab are met with deafening silence. It's hard to escape the conclusion. For many, those earlier protests weren't about real advocacy. They were about optics, virtue signaling dressed up as activism. When the spotlight faded, so did their concern. But the suffering in Iran didn't stop. It just stopped being fashionable.
But let's get back to Whoopi, whose pathetic tantrum was cheered on by the View's equally pathetic and dim-witted audience.
But I think it's important we remember there are places much darker than this country and people who deserve rights.
Not everybody feels that way. Not everybody feels that way. Listen, I'm sorry. When you think about the fact that we got the vote in 1965.
Okay, they don't have free and fair elections in Iran. It's not even the same universe.
They can't go out of their house.
Women.
You know what? There's no way I can make you understand.
No, let me try something. It's like try to reverse roles with a black person in this country, let's say, because I think that's what you're talking about.
Yes.
Just try to understand from their point of view. From that point of view, this country does not do them well. Does not go for them.
At the core of all this lies a hard, uncomfortable truth. Much of what passes for activism today, especially from voices like Whoopi Goldberg and her ideological echo chamber, isn't rooted in principle. It's performance. Loud when it's trendy, silent when it takes real courage. Comparing the freedoms of America, a country that elected a black president, champions free speech, and lifts up voices of every race and background, to the state-sanctioned brutality of Iran isn't just misleading, it's shameful. When leaders like Wesley Hunt rise, they're met with identity politics instead of applause. When Iranian women cry out for help, their voices are ignored in favor of recycled anti-Trump rants. And when real change is within reach, it's buried under the noise of performative outrage. If we want to move forward, we have to stop normalizing absurdity in the name of wokeness and start standing up for truth, even when it's inconvenient. Because real advocacy isn't about hashtags or headlines. It's about integrity. That wraps up today's video. If you got something out of it, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.